currency.
The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's live edition. It is November 14th, 2012. And I have a bunch of things I'm going to go over tonight. The first, I would say at least half hour, I'm going to be focusing on Hurricane Sandy, relief efforts, the reality of the situation as to what's going on with them, and a bunch of other things. And I want to talk about a little thing, a little project that I found. It's called the Staten Island Pizza Project, which I'm going to play some audio from tonight. So you guys can get associated with that, get acquainted with it, and help out. I'm going to urge you, okay, to check it out. And please, 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 if you're not in the area, I mean, if you're in the area and you can bring clothes, whatever, that's awesome. But since this will serve two purposes, and I'll get into that in a minute. I don't want to get sidetracked on that, but just I got to put myself in check. I'm going to play audio because I actually interviewed Carmine, the owner of Fratelli's Pizza in Staten Island, who is the company that's doing this. They're just a mom and pop, family owned business. They're not like a chain type thing, like a Pizza Hut or something. They're a real pizzeria, real Italian food out in Staten Island. And they, I guess a customer or somebody approached them and said, "Hey, did you ever think maybe doing, would you do this? Would you be willing to do this?" And basically, they take donations over the phone, and if you call in, you can give $8 is the minimum. For $8, somebody, whoever gets, and it's random. It could be a policeman, fireman, city worker, somebody who lost their entire house, hungry family, whoever. They get a large pizza and soda, and for $8. Now, people have been calling in from all over the world. You'll hear. I'm going to play the interview I did with him next segment, and you'll hear it. But I urge you to get involved in this. This is something that I can get behind. Now, I spoke to the gentleman who owns the pizzeria myself, and I can tell you what, this guy is the real deal. He's a genuine human being, and I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, check out the Staten Island Pizza Project. I'm going to give out the phone number, and you'll hear Carmine give it out when I interview him and I play the audio in a few minutes. But I'm going to give out the phone number, and I urge you to go call this. If you're out in California, I don't I forgot to ask Carmine actually what time they close, but I'm sure you can just call up and find out. But if you're out in California, Alaska, another country, because we're heard all over the world, and you want to help out, you want to donate, you don't want to donate to the Red Cross. The Red Cross blows. All right, I've exposed time and time again how inadequate they are. When I was talking to Kelly, who was on boots on the ground in Staten Island last week, as I was talking to her, the Red Cross truck pulled up and offered her hot cocoa. No blankets, no nothing, no clothes for the people that are cold, no hot food. They had hot cocoa, some, I think, coffee and water. Yeah, real useful. Thank you, Red Cross. Where's all that money going that's being donated? All these stars go on TV and they're raising money for these people, and people across the country are donating, thinking they're doing the right thing. You're not. Okay, donate to the little things like this, the little charities, the little programs. Okay, or in this case, the Staten Island Pizza Project. Now I'm going to give you the phone number for the pizzeria, because right now it's only about 10:15, so I don't know if they're open. They might be. So if you feel like hopping on it right now, if not, save it till tomorrow, whenever. And you'll hear Carmine said that this is indefinite. He's decided he's going to continue to do this as long as the phone calls keep coming in. So that's a pretty noble thing. So give them a call. It's Fratelli's Pizzeria. The phone number is 718-356-8742. That's 718. It's the area code. 356-8742. Fratelli's Pizza in Staten Island. And you can ask for Carmine. And when I play the audio next segment, you'll hear him. He also gives off a few other people's names that you can ask for. And if you didn't get the phone number, I'll give it out one more time. And get a piece of paper and a pen so you can listen and write down whatever information that you're going to hear Carmine give out. But it's 718, that's the area code 718-356-8742, Fratelli's Pizza. And it's pretty amazing. It's not a long interview. It's only about, 6-7 minutes long. But these people, this is what it's about. And they've also got he was telling me they've got a donation cup by the front of the front door of the place. And people have donated money, and with that, any cash that gets donated, they're going out like that way into the cup. They're going out and buying toilet paper and paper towels and supplies like that, and they're going out and they're delivering the people that need them, because they're right there in Staten Island. So it is really amazing. I want to give a big shout out to this pizzeria. Just amazing thing that they're doing. And this is humanity at its best, ladies and gentlemen. So, and if you're a local, you know what? Support this guy. Support his business, because he's stepping up to the plate, and he's not making bazillions of dollars doing this. The money that gets donated, if someone donates $400, he makes $400 worth of pizza pies and other Italian food and stuff. And they've been bringing big canisters of soup around, everything else. So, go check out Fratelli's Pizza. It's in Staten Island. Again, phone number 718-356-8742. And ask for Carmine. Like I said, we only have a few minutes before we go to break, so I will play the audio on the other side. But when I was first talking about this, I said that this solves another problem. And I said I didn't want to get sidetracked too much. Well, this is the other problem it solves. This is an article on federaljack.com, my website. FEMA stops people from sending donated supplies to victims of Hurricane Sandy. Now, FEMA is telling people, if you donated food, we have to be able to approve what food these people get. Right? Because sending them food, canned goods and stuff, you can't let them make up their own mind what they want. FEMA has to be able to say, well, no, you don't want to give them this, you don't want to give them that, they don't need this, they don't need that. So half the stuff will probably end up going home to some FEMA employee's house, right? They got to protect us. It could be bad food, could be unhealthy food. Someone might have donated Twix bars. God forbid somebody get chocolate in a crisis. Wouldn't want them to gain a pound. I mean, ridiculous. So the pizzeria thing goes around that. They're a pizzeria. They're delivering pizza. If you want the person to get a hot meal, you want them to get a real Italian meal. You want them, and if you have a specification, I'm sure Carmine and his family and the people that work there will be more than gracious. If you say, "Hey, look, I want to donate $400, but instead of pizza, can you do like half of that in pizza and the other half in like, pasta dishes?" Is there something? I'm sure if you talk to them, because they've done that already. They've done other stuff. They've made other meals. So go out and do that, and then you'll know that somebody's at least getting a hot meal. Because right now, if you donate food, canned food, and all this other stuff, now FEMA's telling people at these shelters and at these places where they're like stores and stuff that people are congregating at and gathering food and stuff together. They're telling them, no, don't donate food. So you know what? Staten Island Pizza Project. Check it out. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Joining me for the rest of the broadcast is my good friend, my brother from another mother, and fellow radio show host here on the network, and the other half of what we call chaos and mayhem when you put the two of us together, Mr. Joe Joseph. Joe, say hello.
You could say that. I am mayhem.
He's chaos, I'm mayhem. We're a double act.
However you want to call it. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for having me on there, Mr. Popeye.
Well, Joe, it's been a while since you came on and hung out, and we analyzed things. And I actually really take your opinion to heart. We actually have a lot of conversations off air. And
yes, we do.
I was like, why are we not doing any of this on air? So I kind of made you... Go on.
No, that's right. Fairly soon, people, this may be a more regular occurrence. That's right. As I have more time. And Popeye. That's wishful thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, I wish I had more
time.
I wish I had more time to do more radio.
I know. Tell me about it.
I wish I had a studio. I wish I had a lot of stuff. But we can wish in one hand and crap in the other, like my father used to tell me which one weighs more. So... before I brought you on, I was talking about the Staten Island Pizza Project. This is
Oh, yeah, cool, dude. Talk about somebody that's really going above and beyond to help people out,
I was telling you about this off air, man. I'm really impressed with this guy. I mean, he stepped up to the plate. Somebody came in, one of the locals, and they brought up the idea to him. And he said, you know what? Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. And it actually changed him as a person to the point that he has now decided to continue this pretty much until it doesn't stop. Or until it does stop, I should say. So, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play the audio really quick because I interviewed him a little bit earlier. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to play the audio so the listeners can hear Carmine and what he has to say for himself. And ladies and gentlemen, this, like I said, the guy's the real deal. So I urge you to support the Staten Island Pizza Project. Fratelli's Pizzeria in Staten Island, area code 718-356-8742. Here you go. Here's Carmine, the owner. I'm sitting here with Carmine, the owner of Fratelli's Pizzeria in Staten Island. And I wanted to talk to him today because they put together, I guess you could call it a little program, what they're running over there, where people can call up the pizzeria, and I'm going to have Carmine give out all the information in a second, but you can call up the pizzeria, and for $8, you can your donation will send a large pizza and a soda to either a family that needs it, or city workers that are out there, or volunteers, or whoever's out there literally working boots on the ground in Staten Island and elsewhere. You can literally have this pizza and this soda delivered to them for $8. And you can't beat that. You could be in California, you want to donate, you want to help out, and instead of donating to the Red Cross, if you're going to donate $50 to the Red Cross, donate it to this. You're literally getting hot food and something to drink out to the people on the ground, rather than just throwing money at some organization, which is definitely not going to use it. Okay, without wasting any more time, I want to bring Carmine up and have him explain a little bit about what it is, how people can donate, and why they started this. So, Carmine, the floor is yours. Let's start with why you started the Staten Island Pizza Project.
We started donating. We donated 24, 25 pies ourselves down to the Tottenville area, where people have just lost houses and hungry and needed food. And we're from Staten Island ourselves, so we like to help out as many people as we can. And one person came in and put it on Facebook, and it got so big to the point where we said, let's keep doing this. Let's keep bringing food to people everywhere. We've had people from Alaska, Hawaii, California, San Diego. I mean, I can't Baltimore. So many people just calling the pizzeria, donating $400, $500, $20, $8, whatever it is. They're helping a family eat hot food, and we're not only donating just pizza. I mean, we've made about 70 soups, and we went down and we donated to Midland area. We've made full trays of pasta and chicken parm, and we donated to those people as well. We're hitting police stations, fire stations, first responders. It's just amazing how people just calling up, and it all started on Facebook.
It's amazing how citizens coming together can get things done, because
it's a great thing.
The government and the Red Cross certainly isn't helping out down there, and people like you are a shining example of how things should get done. And as soon as one of my listeners shared the picture of the flyer on Facebook and said you should check this out, and I read it and I was like, you know what, I want to call and I want to talk to the guy. And Carmine, I got to say, it gives me hope, for humanity. When you see a lot of negative stuff like I do, and you see a lot of horrible stuff in the world, when you see something like this and you see people actually stepping up and just doing the right thing, nobody had to tell you.
It's such a beautiful thing.
Dude, it really is. My hat's off to you.
Thank you very much. But it's not just off to me; it's off to everybody who is helping out. They're a big part of this as well. It's not just Fratelli's Pizzeria that's doing this. It's everybody coming together as one and helping out people who are in need. And I tell you, it really did change me personally. It changed the way that I look at life now and say, wow, there really are people that do care.
It really is an awakening when you see the random people that don't know each other stepping up and just taking care of each other, especially New Yorkers. I grew up in Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy. I grew up right across the river. And, people, New York has this rep of people look at each other and go, ugh, they grunt and they don't talk to each other. And yet every time you have a big tragedy like this, it's not the government, it's not these big organizations that come out, it's the citizens themselves that stand up and take care of each other. And that really, it inspires me, man. It really does.
It's just amazing how we're all helping one another out. Like I said, last week alone, we did a little bit over 900 pies that went out to people who were eating. All over. Tottenville, Midland, Father Capodanno, Great Kills, off of Arbutus, there's Nicolosi Drive. We've hit everywhere. Police stations, fire stations, first responders. It's going all over.
And how long do you plan on continuing this?
We'll continue this as long as people keep calling. We won't stop. We will not stop.
That's awesome. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Indefinite until the calls stop. And let's not make the calls stop. How about we continue this? How about even after the people are taken care of from the storm, how about maybe we continue the Staten Island Pizza Project and maybe help homeless and give the homeless something hot to eat on a cold night. I mean, Carmine, what you've started on a grassroots level, it could snowball into such an amazing thing. I mean, it already has snowballed into such an amazing thing. And again, it's people on the ground that are there going, I'm not waiting for the government to do something. I'm going to do it. Not because you want to be famous or anything, but because it's the right thing to do. And that is what's the most important thing. How can people call you and help out? What's the phone number? And then give out the address to the pizzeria.
Sure. It's the phone number here at Fratelli's Pizzeria is 718-356-8742. You could ask for Vinny, Carmine, Josephine, or Fran. We're at 27 Seguin Avenue, Staten Island, New York, 10309. And just so I could also mention, there are people who have been coming in. We put a little cup out for donations for Sandy. We've raised almost $200 in the cup as well, and we've donated toilet paper, toothbrushes, deodorant, all toiletry stuff. And we're not going to stop. If we keep raising, we'll buy baby food, baby diapers, whatever it is that we have to do to help.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? This isn't the Red Cross. This isn't some government agency. It's a pizzeria in the affected area who says, I'm not standing around. I'm not gonna just sit back and watch these people suffer. I'm gonna get up and I'm actually gonna be the change that I want to see. Amazing, Carmine. Just amazing. It is an honor to talk to you, sir.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we got a break coming up. Don't go anywhere. More with Joe Joseph and myself when we get back. 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Joe, what do you think about this little project I stumbled across? And it was really weird. Somebody had sent me the picture on Facebook the other day, and they said, "Hey, check this out." And I shared it, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." And they had said, yeah, they had verified that they knew, and I trusted this person, and I was like, all right, cool. So I promoted it, and late this morning, early this afternoon, I was working, getting some stuff done, ready for the show today, and I saw it again, and it was just sitting there. I don't know why it was sitting on my desktop. I guess I'd been in Facebook, and I guess that's where the page was sitting. Whatever. Anyway, it caught my eye again. Yeah, and I had kept seeing it go all over, and I was like, let's see how viral it went. I hope it helped out. And I saw a lot of comments saying, well, how do I know this is real? Is this for real? Is this somebody just making this up to try to make money? And
well, how many times has that happened?
Oh, no, I know. People.
How many times have how many people have taken advantage of a disaster? I mean, we talk about the powers that be all the time and how they take advantage of a disaster. And last night on my broadcast, we talked about the $36.5 trillion in mortgage-backed securities and other investments on 55 Water Street that got flooded out. Well, all of a sudden, that could wreak a lot of havoc for people, as a lot of this stuff that people invest in is nothing but paper, not tangible assets. And so if the big guys can capitalize on something like that, then there's got to be some little guys down there.
Well, there's always people that capitalize on stuff, but I got to tell you what, for $8, the guy's giving out a large pizza and a soda. He's not capitalizing.
No, you're not. And let me tell you, folks, because Popeye comes from the Jersey area. I've spent almost 4 years living in the Long Island area. The 5 boroughs, Staten Island. $8, he's not making a red cent on a pie and soda. Ain't doing it. And here's the thing. This is a dynamic.
Bring it to places like
exactly.
So he's actually paying out gas and time for somebody to go out there.
But there's a dynamic in that area that people just don't understand. And the only way I can describe it is it's a area that's rich in culture, but very, very deep in community. There is a sense of community in New York and a sense of brotherhood in New York that you don't get anywhere else except for, and I say this loosely because it's different, but in a small town environment. So you have this small town sense of community and camaraderie with your fellow New Yorkers there, like you would in a small town, but you have it in a big town environment. You know what I mean? So it's weird. And there's a respect that people have for each other up there because you got to work your ass off in order to make it in New York.
It's expensive to live up there, dude. It's not cheap.
It's hugely expensive.
And for this guy to go out of his way like that, I mean, let me tell you something. If you sit and think about it, I worked in a pizzeria when I was a kid. I know the guy who makes pizzas for a living, right? But he's got to make pizzas enough to pay his bills, right? And to cover all his expenses. And here he is. If money comes in solely for this project by itself, he doesn't use any of the money to benefit from. He uses it specifically to make sure all of that money, if he gets $400, he makes $400 worth of pizzas and goes out and donates them and gives them out to people. So he's not making any money on that. That's not.
And well, here's the thing. Maybe not on that, and that's all well and good. But good intentioned actions like this reap rewards.
Oh, of course they do. Dude, did you hear him? He said, I'm a changed man. And I got to tell you what, I spoke to him. And this guy is genuine. So, I mean, really, kudos. That's why I devoted a lot of time to this tonight, because I was really blown away by this. I was like, wow, this guy, I mean, the government can't figure out how to bring blankets to people, okay? And this guy, and apparently he did tell me that somebody came in and gave him I had approached him about it, and I think the lady's name is Margaret. In fact, she might even be in the chat. Margaret, if you're in the chat, thank you. And if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah, hats off to you.
Yes, thank you for coming up with the idea. And like Joe and I said, in the chat. Email both of us,
email
and we'll
us.
get with you more about this stuff because I want to push these type of ideas. This is how we solve problems. Waiting for somebody in a suit with a badge or some official windbreaker to come bail you out, they're useless. Did you see the picture of the Occupy Sandy kids, the volunteers, feeding the FEMA people?
Yeah, that's right.
The FEMA Corps kids.
Because relief is always going to come from the bottom up. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why relief comes from the bottom up. Because it's the people at the bottom that feel it the most. They know the pain. So being human, and a lot of us are still human and have our humanity intact, those that do can't sit idly by when somebody else is suffering and knowing you know that pain. And so that's why you always see grassroots movement. They don't start top down. They start bottom up. And guys like Carmine and Margaret and people and you know, people like Margaret, I'll tell you what, I can't say enough and speak enough to you doing the right thing and doing the human thing. It's so hard these days because of all the divide and conquer tactics that are employed against us. If it's not that you make more than I do, it's that you're a different color than I am, or it's a different religion than I am. There's always something that divides us, but at the very core, we're all human at the end of the day, and we need to embrace that humanity. And Carmine and his crew up in Staten Island done a fantastic job of doing that.
And kudos for somebody like Margaret getting up and actually just getting out there and approaching somebody and saying, hey, you don't know me, you know, but I'm coming to you out of the clear blue, but you know, I see a problem, you see the same problem, let's get together and work to create a solution to the problem. And they did.
Yeah,
and if we
Carmine
use this as an example to learn from and you know, continue this outwardly, then I don't know what kind of example you could use.
And just from the chat room, I want everybody to know over the air that's not in chat that Carmine is in chat and just threw a message up that says Margaret is the key to this project. So Margaret, my hat's off to you.
It says he said that the people who are delivering the pizza and stuff to everybody is the lady who started this, and that would be Margaret. So again, kudos to Margaret. Thank you very much, both of you.
Yeah.
I mean, again, and I want, you know, I decided to devote a lot of time to this, Joe, because, you know, I've been trying to get the word out about what's going on up there, and I've talked to people on the ground, and when I saw this afternoon, I was really just blown away by it. I really was, because I have to be honest with you. I see a lot of evil stuff and a lot of horrible things we talk about, and we expose a lot of nasty stuff. And, you know, sometimes I get caught off guard by someone's, you know, I'm humbled by somebody's humanity, and I'm humbled by these people. I really am. I mean, they didn't pay me to come on here. I approached them and asked them if I could go talk to them. They didn't pay me for to come on the air and talk about them. I mean, I really am humbled that somebody else out there does care. So it shows you, you know, it gives me that hope that, you know what, I'm right. People, you know, I'm right in my belief that there are still good people out there, and
of course there are.
So but it's one of those things. You know how sometimes after you've been in the, you know, you're walking around and all you see is negative stuff for a long period of time. You see something like this, and it really caught me off guard. And I was like, you know what? I'm blown away again every day when I see more and more stories of the humanity of the local people up there taking care of each other. Government, fail. Red Cross, fail. Two big Fs. Like I said, I was interviewing Kelly last week. She's a friend of mine, and you know, her neighborhood devastated. And while I'm talking to her on the phone, and you can hear, you know, they were cold. She's sitting there kind of shivering, talking in the car. And you hear the Red Cross truck come by, and she's like, "Oh, hold on, I'll roll the window down." And she rolls the window down. The guy's like, "You want some hot chocolate? Like, how about no? How about maybe some clothes?"
Yeah, it's just it's an insult. You know, it really is. It's an insult. And you have the Red Cross, which is a prestigious organization with very deep roots and has done some very good work over the years. Now, in these, I'd say what since at least. Since 2005.
They haven't done any good work.
Haven't done spit.
I'll tell you what.
On a national emergency. Now, but again, you know, that's only one facet of the Red Cross.
No, dude, I don't try. I did Red Cross. I could tell you firsthand experience. After on 9/11, I donated my time, driving, packing up and loading trucks and driving them down to Ground Zero for the first responders with the Red Cross. And I could tell you story after story. I don't support any of those things. I support things like the Staten Island Pizza Project and Fratelli's Pizzeria. We got a break sneaking up on us, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, support this. Staten Island Pizza Project, Fratelli's Pizzeria, 718-356-8742. 718-356-8742. Thank you so much, Carmine. Margaret, thank you.
God bless you
both, and your Carmine, your crew, a shining example of how to deal with stuff. Made me, got my hope in humanity back up. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Final segment of the first hour, but we still have hour number 2 coming up, so don't go anywhere. Staten Island Pizza Project. I can't promote this thing enough, really. And I'm gonna cover the story I was talking about the FEMA blocking supplies, and I'll move on from it. But again, I'm gonna give it one more shout out. Carmine, awesome. Margaret, awesome. Both shining examples. Staten Island Pizza Project, Fratelli's Pizza, Staten Island, 718-356-8742. Just, this is awesome. I mean, look, if there's one thing that came out of Hurricane Sandy, it is there is more than enough evidence now to show that people, citizens, the people on the ground, the citizens themselves are the solution to the problems, as I often say to everyone listening. So this is just another example of that. And again, kudos to Carmine and to Margaret and Carmine's family and the rest of the crew over there at the pizzeria. All of you. Bravo Zulu from a veteran and Joe's a vet.
Shiver me timbers.
The both of us, real good job over there. And again, I was saying, Joe, first segment, that this solves the problem of things like what I'm about to bring up now. FEMA stops people from sending donated supplies to victims of Hurricane Sandy. Go under the featured news articles on Federal Jack. And actually, it's also in the slider, too. And you'll see it right in the front. FEMA stops people from sending donated supplies to victims of Hurricane Sandy. Why would you stop people from bringing stuff to the victims? Well, because they can't tell what kind of food it is, and they have to, we have rules about what can and can't be accepted. This is FEMA. We have rules about what can and can't be accepted. There's people that have lost everything. And I bet you they own things that weren't on your rules, your list of things that couldn't be accepted.
That's bureaucracy, buddy.
Oh,
that's what bureaucracy gets. That's why it's always important that we stay in touch with our humanity and understand that we don't want people to suffer needlessly, or perhaps like we've suffered in the past. Why would you want your fellow man to do that? That's why you can't expect government to bail you out of these things. There's so much bureaucracy, so many regulations and ways to do things now that all these people you think they want any ill to come to the people that's been harmed? No, but they have to follow the rules or they're going to lose their job. And that's why you have that. It's horrible. Government has no place in emergency management. Absolutely zero. And when I say that,
dude, I could tell you, look, I was a volunteer firefighter in Jersey for 6 years. I had to deal with FEMA. I had to deal with the emergency management people. Let me tell you something. Useless. As I said on air, I've told you off air, when the crap would hit the fan, the bureaucrats look at, like the firefighters and the police and everything, the fire chiefs and stuff, and they go, oh, what do we do?
Yeah.
Because they have no idea how to handle things.
Right. But that's why emergency management really has to be at the local level. You can't, even at the state level, it's too, it separates the humanity. Again, humanity's not my family. What the hell do I care? You don't have that. Whereas it is your family because it's your community. And that's the thing that people, if you have that sense there, then there's more of a desire, a want, and a need to respond. Or to get that food to the people or the resources. So that's why, the federal government really has no place in that. No, they don't. Look, dude, again, I've said this time and time again. You're going to tell me that, what's his name, Bloomberg, didn't have a plan
for what if a hurricane hit the East Coast?
Yeah, and probably a bunker too.
Well, people, I've had the argument where people say, well, Popeye, hurricanes don't hit often. Wrong, and wrong. In the time that I grew up in Jersey and before I left the Northeast, okay, we had 3 or 4 hurricanes hit in the Northeast in the time that I grew up there. And I left when I was in my early 20s. So it's not like I had been there 50 years and we had 4 hurricanes over the course of 50, or 3 or 4 hurricanes over the course of 50 years. They know what that it's capable of happening. They've had it happen before. They've had even bigger storms in the terms of not size, because this thing was large in size, but I mean power. This thing brought a lot of wind. It brought rain and it brought wind, which brought a lot of storm surge and everything else. But like Category 3 style storms, they've had bigger intensity storms, I should say. So it's not like they don't plan on this. You know what I mean? So how are you going to tell me? What about last year when Hurricane Irene came up the East Coast and they were, oh my God, there's going to be flooding. We're going to have to close all this off. And he's like, we have plans for this and plans for that. Well, where are those plans now? Because now you actually have a real disaster and you're not helping anybody. I mean, this is pathetic, dude. Seriously, the Marx Brothers could have done a better job at disaster response. And I'm being facetious. I am. I'm a little pissed because there's a lot of people that I know that are hurting. And it really irritates me to see that, okay, 2 or 3 days, roads are blocked. You got to get equipment in there to move things. I get it. I was an engineer in the military. I know. I get it. I understand. I know. Okay, look, mass casualty. That was part of my job, damage control. I get it. It's cool. It takes a few days to clean things up. I'll give you 5 days. How about 2 weeks now? I mean, come on. The gas shortages. First of all, there's a multitude of reasons that there's gas shortages. Some people are saying that, like Ron Paul posted a thing about how he should have, I think it was titled in defense of price gouging or something like that. And it was an interesting take on it. But honestly, why don't we sit if we didn't spend all of our time being afraid of boogeymen that aren't there in the garbage can or behind the house or in the your closet or in your underwear drawer, if we sat down and actually thought about the real issues that could affect the area like this, then the city could get together and say, well, look, we have X amount of gas stations in this city, right? We have 5 in this area. Why don't we require them to have generators? And somehow you could work out the money where maybe the guy paid, the owner would pay half, and the citizens of the area could chip in the other half. Whatever. I'm sure something could be worked out. Okay, where the guy could have an underground generator or something built in a concrete house to protect it, could be there. So that way, if the power goes out, you'd still be able to get gasoline and other things out and still be able to somewhat function, because that way you'd be able to bring fuel into the affected area. There's ways to solve these problems is what I'm getting at. And we waste our time doing other things. And then when the government does come in to actually, quote unquote, help, they do things like tell you can't, bring that's a non-permitted item, Joe. What is that? You can't have that. But I'm just bringing this to help someone, Popeye. I just want to. Nope, can't have that. It's on my list of no-nos. I mean, just and from someone who's a former emergency responder, dude, this really infuriates me, because you know how I am about solving problems. You know me, we're friends off air. You're my personal friend. You know how I am. So, and then I have an emergency responder background, a military background. When I see this dude, it infuriates me, because it's like, oh God, a bunch of 15-year-old kids could figure this out.
Right on.
Right? Am I wrong for being pissed?
No, not at all, man.
I'm just frustrated. Ugh. So, when I see things like the Staten Island Pizza Project, it makes me feel better. And that bolsters what I've said all along. I live in Hurricane Alley right now, so whenever we get hurricanes, I've said that, they're going to have the martial law thing for a little while, curfews, that type of thing. It's not going to be rounding up FEMA camp people. And as I said, if people are going to go into a camp, a quote-unquote FEMA camp, it will be because they don't have any place to go, which is exactly what has panned out in the past 2 weeks, has it not?
Right, yeah.
So, look, things are bad, and the only way to fix it, obviously, government is going to offer nothing but tent housing. What are they going to bring in, the crappy FEMA trailers with the formaldehyde in the walls again?
Obama phone.
Right. They're going to bring in nothing useful. So instead, let's get out as a community, as people, and step up to the plate. Again, look, this is one pizzeria, and it's a very nice lady named Margaret who came up, and they tag teamed, and they got more accomplished in a week. I mean, he said over 900 pies. I mean, that's incredible. Plus all the other food they've brought. What has the Red Cross done? What has the Red Cross done?
Yo, man, give me some hot chocolate, baby.
Exactly. Give me some hot chocolate and some coffee. And here you go. You have. I mean, the Red Cross isn't even a government agency, but we all know you could research.
Yeah, but half of your, at least half of your donation goes to overhead.
Yeah,
it's such a big and just a big. It's a bureaucratic organization, just like everything else.
Look what happened when they sent cash for the Haitian earthquake.
Exactly.
How
much got there?
Remember what Bush said? Don't send blank. I know some of you want to send blankets and send water, but don't send that. Just send your cash. And I played the audio on air like 2 weeks ago when him and Clinton were out there trying to get money for the earthquake relief. Just send your cash. That's right. They didn't want anything that could be useful like blankets or water. They wanted cash and then they can pocket it. And what happened? None of that money got to any of those people. Did it? Not a cent got to the Haitian people. They're still living in refugee camps. Do we need that in our own country? No. Okay? So, fortunately, we as a whole can step up and do something here in our own country. Let's not let the surrounding area, continue to go the way it is. Step up and do things like Fratelli's Pizza and Carmine and his crew and his family and Margaret did. And take a example, take a note from these people. Step up to the plate. Ladies and gentlemen, hour 1 up, hour 2 coming up. Don't go anywhere. Support the Staten Island Pizza Project. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Joining me for hour number 2 is my good friend, brother from another mother, and fellow host here at the Orion Talk Radio Network, Mr. Joe Joseph from the Freedom Link Radio broadcast.
Again, thank you for having me on, buddy.
Joe, I got to say, you guys have been killing it with your broadcast between you and Tim lately, man. You guys have been getting some good guests on.
Yeah, we try. When we, it's tough. It's tough to there's so much to put out in such a limited amount of time to get it in, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, dude, for real. I honestly wish I could afford to, do this 6
all the time.
A day.
Yeah, no, 6 hours a day.
Yeah,
it's kind of what you need.
Well, like that, you do 3 shows, I do 4 shows a week, and people don't realize that's a lot of work. It really is. It's a ton of work, and we don't get paid for it. It's all free. It's all volunteer time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like doing it. It's just a ton of work. But you guys have been, killing it lately with some of the guests you guys have been bringing on. And I know you got a bunch of real, a couple new guests that you haven't had on the broadcast yet here on Orion. Anyway, I know Freedom Link goes back years, but I know you got some guests that you haven't had on a while, and you're gonna be bringing on. So you always bring it, Joe. Cool.
Yeah, I try, man. You too.
And, oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you guys know, if you haven't ever checked out Gwen's show, Joe's old co-host, she has her own broadcast 5 days a week here. Yep. What is it, 12 to 1, right?
12 to 1, Morning Brew.
Yeah, great show. I like Gwen. She brings in some big names, too.
Forget it. I can't even shake a stick at her, man. I mean, she knows everybody. Seriously. Yes, she does know everybody.
Gwen's got everyone on speed dial.
Yep. Yeah, she makes herself known in many circles. So it's she could be a thorn in the patoot, and has been a thorn in the patoot of many a corrupt scumbag in local, state, federal government. She's on the case. So yeah, if you want to tune into a great show, Monday to Friday, 12 to 1, Morning Brew with Gwen Caldwell.
Yeah, Gwen does a great broadcast.
Yep, and does a wonderful broadcast.
In case there's any new listeners, I'll give out my schedule, and then I'll have Joe give out his. My schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at night, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. And Sundays, I'm on in the afternoon into the early evening. I'm on 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Joe, go ahead, give your hours out.
Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., and Sunday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern.
All right, so during the week, if I'm not on, Joe's on. And if you're not on, I'm on. So you have a choice, me or Joe. And right now, you get the best of both worlds.
Amen to that.
I want to give out a little bit more information about some Hurricane Sandy relief stuff, and then we can get on to a few other things. But again, before I give out, because I got to find the list here. As I get my list out here, again, go help out the Staten Island Pizza Project. I can't plug these people enough. And no, they didn't give me any money to plug them or anything. Carmine and Margaret, nobody over there paid me any money. I'm blown away, and I'm humbled by what they did, and that's why I'm giving it the attention I did, because they, it takes a lot to humble me. You can ask Joe. And I was really, it caught me off guard, so I want to make sure that they got the credit that they deserve, because they're just really awesome people. Okay, here's the list. You can go over to StatenIslandRelief.org. That's StatenIslandRelief.org. That's the website that Kelly put together. Remember, I had her on last week. And they have articles and stuff up, and then the donate button is off to the side if you want to help out. And I'm sure there's lists and everything of whatever they need, and she's got news updates. So check it out, StatenIslandRelief.org. And then there's also just look up Occupy Sandy, and just if you Google Occupy Sandy, you'll see it. I don't care, whatever you could make fun of people that are in the Occupy Wall Street movement, but the first two groups that responded to the people out there on Staten Island to help them out, including many police officers who live out there, were Occupy Wall Street and We Are Change. So guess what? You could say what you want to say about them, but they were the first boots on the ground to help out, not the government. These are the current needs that they know that people need. So just Google Occupy Sandy. The links will come up. They have lists of different places you can go to donate stuff. People need blankets. Blankets. It's cold as hell. It's winter. It's the middle of November, people.
Yeah, winter coats, anything like that, anything warm.
Yeah, if you move to Florida and your kids are all grown up and they're in college and you got clothes. My dad just did this. He donated actually to Kelly's the thing that not Kelly, Tracy Diaz. She's another host. She's a friend of mine. I've had her on, and she put a thing together too. My father donated a whole bunch of stuff to the church clothes, and he called up to find out if everything was used, and it was all gone. The shoes he donated, it was all stuff that he didn't use because he doesn't live up north anymore. So if you live in like a warmer state, you don't need the cold weather clothing. It's been sitting in the closet for 20 years. Well, I might need it. Yeah, and hell might freeze over. There's people that actually do need it right now. So you know what I'm saying? Like, just give it to the people. Part with your old crap, put it in a box, give it a kiss, send it with some love, and help these people out. They need blankets, warm clothing, flashlights, AAA batteries, because they're useful in so many smaller things, especially smaller pocket flashlights that helps people walk around, right? Gallon Ziploc bags, cleaning hardware, anything, brushes, scrubbing, gloves, stuff like that, brooms, flat shovels, mops, masks, and like I said, gloves. If you're going to bring gloves, don't get them crappy ones. Get them nice, thick, like industrial, badass gloves that they can clean with, so that they're, not something bulky like one size fits all crap, but get them something that they can, you know what I mean? It'll protect their hand. It's thick enough to protect their hand, but they can still move their hand around. Don't get them some garbage kitchen washing gloves, because I know you mean well, but that ain't going to do crap. Get them something a little thicker. Hydrogen peroxide, white vinegar, any sort of baby toddler food, and they said, and formula. I have my own theories on formula, but whatever. If you're like a holistic or organic group out there, I know there's a lot of you out there. Step up, right? Everybody wants to. Well, we have bad reps. We're hippies, but okay, so step up. Do what everybody else is doing. Show yourself. It's time to shine. Let's go, Susie. Stand up and do something. They need duct and scotch tape. Duct tape is like 100-mile-an-hour tape. Greatest thing, one of the greatest things ever invented. So lots of duct tape, scotch tape, toiletries, toilet paper, toothbrushes. They really need toilet paper, deodorant, tampons, soap. Tampons and toilet paper are probably two biggest things these people need right now. Can openers, if somebody's got somebody out there has an army supply, what do you call the places? The army surplus places. They have the old, foldable army issue can openers from World War II. They're still around. You can get them at gun shows. If somebody is a dealer or has one of these army surplus places, if you have a bunch of those, donate them. People could walk around and put them on their keychains. They could open up the food.
Right on. And at the same time, let me just add this too. Pay attention to what it is they're asking for, because what they're asking for is what you should be preparing for those that weren't affected by Sandy. These disasters all require a lot of the same things, and it should all be things that you have readily available should the need arise. You know what I mean? So it's good knowledge.
Well, yeah. Look, this whole thing could be looked at as a learning example.
Sure.
And you now you know what to expect, right? Everybody says, "Well, what would happen if this happened?" Well, now you know exactly how the government's going to, react. And when you hear the term martial law, it's not the same term martial law that you think like end of the world. They're going to come, round you up and with SWAT teams and throw you into some prison camp somewhere. Okay, you're seeing how they do martial law right now. You're witnessing it. And I said it a couple weeks ago what they were going to do. They were going to do curfews and all this other stuff. And it has been lifted in some areas. In some areas it hasn't been lifted. But again, that's more due to the inefficiency of government than anything else. And if you think about it, maybe they're trying to make an excuse for their own existence. We have to stay around, blah, 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 blah. We could speculate the hell out of it. The point is, we're going to break. So I don't have time to speculate. We'll break
That's
back.
right.
All right, I've been focusing on Staten Island a little bit. I'm going to give Jersey a little bit of love because it is my home state. And I don't know where, like around Ocean County and stuff. I know there's a lot of places that are banged up. The only thing I know of right now are Hurricane Sandy donation drop-offs locations in Mercer County. And this was because this is the most updated stuff that I was able to find. It's 3 days old. It was posted on November 11th of 2012. So it was posted 3 days ago. So I don't know where anything else is. Just Google. I urge you to Google stuff. Google Hurricane Sandy, Ocean County, New Jersey, donation drop-off locations, and I'm sure stuff will pop up. But I found this right away. I doing somewhat of the same search. Except I didn't put in Ocean County, but I did find Mercer. So let me read off what I got here in Mercer County, and then I'm going to move on to a few other things. But I did, I didn't want to. I didn't want another show to go by where I didn't, throw more information about the donating stuff out there for Hurricane Sandy victims. Because my usual broadcast, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, isn't coming on, and I cover a wide variety of things, but. I've been harping on this because I guess it hits me in the heart because I grew up there, but the government's not doing anything. And reporting wise, yeah, I'm showing you examples of people stepping up, but I'm pushing you to help them because it needs to get done, and the government's not doing anything. So here is the Hurricane Sandy donation drop-off locations that are listed for Mercer County. You can find it on NJ.com. That's NJ.com. There's one in Hamilton. There's one in Princeton Borough. There's one in Trenton. There's one in West Windsor. And that is, that's storm relief. And then ongoing aid. There's one in, you have Mercer, Ewing, Trenton. And in Trenton you have the Youth College Parent Association at Mercer County Community College. They're collecting donations of non-perishable items, and I guess they're doing it for Thanksgiving. It's almost like a Thanksgiving food drive for the people that are affected. There's just a ton of them. Homefront, which provides shelter, housing, and other programs, is in need of diapers, new undergarments for adults and children, perishable and non-perishable food, emergency phones, phone cards, and grocery store gift cards. Drop off or mail donations. 1880 Princeton Avenue, Lawrence, New Jersey, 08648. You can call them 609-989-9417. or just visit homefrontnj.org. That's homefrontnj.org. There's a bunch of them. Just go to newjersey.com and look up Hurricane Sandy donation spots in the search bar. I'm sure it'll pop up, and you'll be able to find some more information there. New York wasn't the only people an area that was hit, so don't forget to give Jersey a little bit of love. But Staten Island, I would consider, in New York City, would be pretty much ground zero of the devastation for New York anyway. And Staten Island got left, to their own devices. Long Beach, out in what other cities? There's Long Beach. There's another one. Long Island. Joe.
Yeah, Lindenhurst got hit pretty hard.
Yeah,
all the South Shore. The South Shore got hit pretty bad.
Well, pretty much wiped out, right? Didn't they get?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like parts of the cities that are just gone.
Yeah, the house we used to live in got flooded, and that was we were one house in off the canal, and we sat up a good 12 feet. I want to say we were a good 12 feet, and they got 3 foot of water. So, I mean, if we did, and the house was like 12 foot up, the rest of that neighborhood, it was bad. Very bad. So, I mean, you can't do enough to help out your fellow man, You do the best job you can, and just understand that this couldn't have happened at a worse time. How often in just our lifetime have you seen a hurricane hit, and then the very next week a nor'easter?
Yeah,
I mean, you talk about just horrible.
And in Northeast,
horrible.
Nor'easters ain't no joke.
No, that's what I'm saying. It gets cold and windy.
But the last winter I spent in Jersey, it went down to negative 20 degrees below zero. I poured water on the ground and watched it freeze in front of my eyes. You know what? Okay, it gets cold up there. These people need help. They really do. And what's the city doing? They're like, Bloomberg and their infinite wisdom. Well, we have jail space. We'll just renovate the jails. What are you going to do? Make it Casa de Bloomberg? I mean,
exactly.
It's just unbelievable, dude. But they have tons of money to spend on new riot gear to beat the crap out of the Occupy kids in the middle of Zuccotti Park, right?
Right on, because there's such a threat. That's what I'm saying.
And they need Stinger missiles to take incoming planes out, but they don't have money to actually spend on maybe a location to put people in case. And I'm not talking a FEMA camp.
No.
You know what? Honestly, F the government. You know what? Private citizens, somebody in the city has to have money that gives a crap. There has to be somebody in these areas, especially in the hard-hit areas, that gives a crap, that has money. Don't give it to the Red Cross. Go down boots on the ground and find these local charities. Find a family that needs a house and buy them a new house. If you're rich and you want to donate, I want to give $50,000 to the Red Cross. No, you know what? Go find one of like the worst case scenario families. Maybe the guy's a disabled vet, or the kids are disabled, or somebody's sick or whatever, older, whatever. Find one of the worst case scenarios. I'm not trying to say judge or pick or whatever, but whatever. You go find someone, buy them a house. If you want to do something nice, or give the $50,000 to the Staten Island Pizza Project and buy $50,000 worth of pizza, whatever.
That'll do it.
Or spread it out. StatenIslandRelief.org, whatever. Go down there and go boots on the ground. First of all, if you have money to donate $50,000, you could afford a Learjet. Fly into the nearest private airport and just go see it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, if you're going to spend $50,000, what's flying in your Learjet? You know what I mean?
Right on.
It's just. Yeah, I know a lot of good, well-intentioned people are donating to the Red Cross, and it's like, I think I pissed off George Takei and some of his followers on Facebook, because he, right after, as the hurricane was hitting, he was like, don't forget, we should donate to the Red Cross. And I'm like, George, I know you mean well, but Red Cross blows. None of that money is going to go to those people. And I was a little more polite about it, but I was like, look for local charities. And a few people agreed with it, but I think I pissed some people off. I don't think they liked it. The Red Cross is awesome. Well, who are you to disparage them, right? Because I've never done anything in my life. I've never had any experience with any of these agencies ever. So I couldn't possibly know how much of a waste they are. Let me tell you a little something really quick before we get a break. Okay, after 9/11, people were donating a ton of crap. I mean, there were companies that were donating, like Target would say, what do you need? You need a 2,000 masks, breathing masks here, or whoever, Walmart or whatever company, Home Depot. So we were this warehouse. There were warehouses all over the East Coast right there in that area, with tons of Red Cross supplies. And we were, we'd load up the trucks. We'd get lists of what they needed, and we'd load things up and ship it out. So at the end of the shift, right, you'd see there were these huge cardboard boxes filled with like just all different cans and others, all different crap. And I'm like, what's all that? I mean, dude, there's piles of it. I said, what's all that? Oh, that's stuff that we can't bring to the rescue workers. I said, so, well, what are you going to do? Because I'm sure a lot of that stuff was probably meant for like the families and the kids and the people affected. Yeah, well, we have no way to get it to them. So I'm like, well, what are you going to do with it? Oh, we're going to put it in a warehouse and it'll be used for other things. If there's another disaster or something, it'll go to good use. I'm like, but people bought a lot of that stuff and donated that stuff thinking it's going to the first responders and the victims' families of quote unquote 9/11. Oh yeah, but that's not how it works. And I was like, oh, and that was the education of Popeye into how the Red Cross works. Boots on the ground. And I already didn't want to donate money. I only wanted to donate my time because I didn't trust them. And while I was donating my time, I learned why I was correct in not trusting them. All right, we're going to break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Staten Island Pizza Project. Go check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be inspired by what Margaret and Carmine started. And do the very same thing in your own area, too. And you don't have to do it just for Sandy victims. How about we do like you take a note from what they did and do the same thing in an area where there's maybe a lot of homeless veterans or just homeless people in general. When I used to work in South Beach, I used to walk to work. I only worked a couple blocks from where I lived, and I used to walk the streets instead of driving my car. You'd have your car parked or whatever in a spot, and then parking sucked, so you never wanted to move it. And that was good because walking around, I actually got a chance to get a feel for everything around me, And even when I was stationed down here and I would come down, I would go down to South Beach to blow some steam off or whatever, I would do the same thing. And when I would see the homeless people, and I'm not talking about, there in South Beach for a while, there was a big bum problem. Some of them were crackheads, just druggies, whatever. And yeah, they'd be like, "Oh man, I'm hungry." But I'm talking about the people that, and everybody has their own story, so you really can't single anybody out or pick on them. But it's just there's a difference. I don't know how to explain it other than there's a difference between the I guess the classes of bums that were on South Beach at the time. And I noticed that. There were people that were there just because they had lost there was a couple people that were out there because they had just lost a place to stay, and then they lost their job, and then they didn't have a place to stay anymore. You know what I mean? And then once you're on the street, it's hard to get out of that, and then it just becomes this perpetual cycle. And I would notice that people would kick things at the homeless and pick on them, and even to a certain extent, sometimes I would be a jerk. And actually, I was a jerk off, is what I was. I was a real jerk off at times. And I said to myself, that's not how you are. Yeah, and I decided that I wanted to be better than that. And I started, if I went and got myself a slice of pizza, there was this little old lady who used to sweep the streets. And I don't even know if she's still alive anymore. But, she was in her 90s, I think, at the time. She was in her 80s or 90s. And she slept on the streets, usually on the bus benches. And she had a little cart she pushed around, and she had a broom. And people would fly her for whatever event at the during the weekend for clubs and all this crap. And you'd see her out there on the sidewalk, sweeping the sidewalk. And people would ask her why she swept the sidewalk. And she said, well, this is my home. And it's dirty. I want to clean my home up. She didn't have a home. She considered the sidewalk her home because that's where she slept. And she cleaned this. This woman had nothing, and yet she still cleaned and took care of the sidewalk. So she's this little old lady. I caught a bunch of kids mugging her one night, and I beat the living shit out of them right in the middle of the street. It was like 6 o'clock in the night, in the evening. It was a full street full of people. I just lost it. Anyway, I used to buy her slices of pizza and stuff and get her like an iced tea or a bottle of water. And at first, she didn't know how to take it. During the winter, she'd be curled up under a blanket, and I would go bring her a cup of coffee. And even if you get like a grunt or from somebody, they're usually most of the people that do that. If they have a bad attitude, it's because society and people in general have pissed on them and crapped on them and treated them like total garbage. You know, I guess where I'm going with this is take a note from what they did with the Staten Island Pizza Project and, do something. See if you can find something in your local area. Talk to a local pizza guy and say, hey, man, maybe like twice a week we'd like to get some donations together once or twice a week and get some, get the donations going, make it viral on Facebook. I mean, social media, it's amazing what can be done with it, right? If you can organize a flash mob to dance around to some stupid song, why can't we use it to organize, something to help people feed the homeless? Go out and unless, of course, you're in cities like, Orlando, Florida, where feeding the homeless is illegal. Well, then you have to go to your city council and hold your city council accountable for being a bunch of a-holes.
That's right, but get out. But you have to get out and do that. You have to hold them to account. That's the big thing. And that's what a lot of people fail to do, So
that's the
it's
thing.
Taking that next step. You really got to go down and get in their faces. And there's nothing to be afraid of.
Well, I mean, if your city council bans feeding the homeless, then you live in a really crappy city and you should move, okay? And you should just tell all the homeless people to move, too. I know that doesn't work that way, but I'm being facetious. I mean, that's just, you can't give food to people. You can't feed a hungry person. What kind of human being? I understand because we used to have a saying, don't feed the homeless because they're like they're like stray dogs. And if you feed or we used to say don't feed the crackheads because if you feed one or do one a favor, or like giving one $1 for a beer or something, they're not going to go out and get food with the $1. They're going to go around the corner and get a friggin' Pabst Blue Ribbon and guzzle it or Bush beer or whatever, And they're going to, whatever's cheapest, down here, El Presidente, whatever garbage crap they could get their hands on. Yeah, disgusting beer, by the way. I wouldn't drink it. And, we used to say the same thing. Don't feed them. They're like, dogs. They feed them. They're going to come back for more. And sometimes they would be a pain in the butt. But you know what? I mean, they're human. And as much as Joe, I've sat and talked to you. Some of the stuff. You've heard my wife tell you some of the stories about things that I've done and the situations that I had to deal with when I was living down there and stuff. I was a hard ass at times if I had to be, but you know what? Honestly, it's hard to look at somebody like I said this on air. When you get in a fight and somebody's high or drunk out of their mind and wasted, you could beat the crap out of them with one hand tied behind your back. Am I really a man if I kick their ass? Well, it's the same thing if someone's just looking for food or they're hungry and I'm being a dick to them. How much of a man am I if I spit in their face and laugh at them? I mean, I don't know. I think we could spend so much time, focusing on, the government doesn't do this, the government doesn't do that. The government doesn't do shit, okay? They don't do anything. Nothing they do works right. Okay, trust me. I've been in the military. I'm a vet. Joe's been in the military. He's a vet. Nothing the government does works properly. Okay, that's why big government doesn't work properly because bureaucrats can't solve problems. Politicians certainly can't solve problems. That's why they make laws. That's their a politician is somebody goes to a politician, Senator whoever, Senator so and so, we have a problem. We need you to solve it because you're Superman. You're Senator so and so with a cape. You have a suit on. You look nice. You're on Capitol Hill. You have power. And the senator goes, well, I really have no original ideas because I'm an idiot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose we make a law banning whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how they solve a problem.
They legislate their way out of it. But what's interesting is this is I think I heard this from YouTuber Nut and Fancy. If you make everything illegal, then nothing's illegal, if you know what I mean. So the best thing to do is not legislate your way out of it, but get out of it for the federal government. If you want things to be run right, get out of the way. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, if you want to, if people in the area affected by Sandy or whatever, you guys don't have, obviously, most of you, I'm sure, don't need to be told that waiting for the government is useless. I'm sure there are people that, are, and a lot of them are regretting it. Oh my God, I feel like I'm in a prison in this, this FEMA tent city. Well,
that's why we say prepare, prepare, prepare. Can't say it enough. For all of you people that have sat idly by and said, don't worry, the government will take care of me. And if you don't do anything, that's what you're saying by default, then you put yourself in this vulnerable position. But just think about how things were before there was FEMA and before everything else, people canned food and put it away, and people prepared for disaster because it's the responsible thing to do. And that's what we have to return to, is that ideology that we need to take care of ourselves and help out each other, help out one another. And to do that, you do that locally. You don't do that at the federal level.
Well, obviously, I mean, even a big corporation like the Red Cross, they're useless too.
Right, and you know what? And that's why we personally need to fight the government on this, to criminalize this almost treasonous act to call preppers terrorists.
Well, like the Red Cross, they use this kind of crap as it's a fundraiser. So people are homeless, they're freezing, there's people dead, right? And they're lying about the real death count. Like Kelly said when she came on last week, she was saying, what about all the undocumented people that they don't know about? That,
sure.
In a lot of these places, there's 30 or 40 of them. She said in one place there was something, I don't know, there was over 20, I think she said, at least, people that were in this house and they were dead, or 10 or 20 or something like that. I don't want to exacerbate the numbers, but the point is, there's a lot of undocumented people. The death toll is much higher, okay? And the only thing solving any of the problems are the people out there on the streets. So continue to do what you're doing, everybody out there, and everybody that's, if you can take a lesson from this, at least one lesson from this, it's prepare for the worst. All right, we're going to break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. I know I said I was going to get into other things, but I knew I was going to end up at least devoting an hour to this. And I'm glad I did, because it's a good conversation, good discussion about prepping, getting involved locally. I mean, I say all the time, the answer, everybody always says, well, what would you do? FEMA can't martial law, death, lock up, SWAT teams, end of the world. Well, none of that is even necessary. It's all irrelevant if you do the things that Carmine and Margaret and all these other people, Kelly and people at Occupy, Sandy, We Are Change, that's going out there and helping out, all these other volunteer organizations. There's one called Beauty Cares. There's just a ton of them. I mean, all these people that are going out there and volunteering their time and just taking care of their fellow human beings and showing love and compassion, that is what makes this big machinery of government that is obviously useless, because it doesn't come through when you need it. It's there to give you a parking ticket when you're having a day. You know what I mean? But
the purpose of government, when it was instituted, was to protect our rights. That's what it was for. It's not to get you out of a disaster. It's not to give you an Obama phone or anything like that. It has everything to do with protecting and preserving our rights, our God-given rights, and our liberty too. So, I mean, we've really strayed from the intents of what government was supposed to be.
Real easy, Joe. You're the franchise owner. You, me, everybody else, we're the franchise owner, okay? And the government is supposed to be the manager, right? And somehow the script got flipped, and we're like the guy cleaning the toilets now, and they're the owner. They're the franchise owner, and that's not how it works. And as soon as people realize that, see, that's the amazing thing. One of the most grandest illusions of them all is who really has the power. See, that's why they need bullets and bombs and tanks and armored vehicles and mercenaries and SWAT teams and jackboot thugs and planes and drones and all this other crap. And we don't. There's a reason for that. Think about it. Who really has the power? Who has to run around in costumes and dress like Darth Vader? Who has to go dress like they're getting ready to invade Poland? And who doesn't? Who has the real power and who doesn't? Just because you're wearing a costume with a piece of tin on it doesn't mean that you have the power. It just means that you're physically manipulating that costume at a period of time. The costume actually has the power. You have nothing. You know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do. It's things are quite backwards in this country. It's going to take a lot of work. A lot of work. This has been over a century. Over a century now, this has been in the works. All of the things that you see, all the injustices we face. And it's only through building things and relationships from the ground up by focusing on personal responsibility, and love your fellow man. Don't hate.
And bro, that's why this Staten Island Pizza Project, this thing is. I can't say it enough. That's why I've been focusing on this thing and talking about the relief efforts and everything tonight, and focusing a lot on this thing that Carmine and Margaret put together, because everything that Joe just listed, the personal responsibility, coming together, community, handling issues, all this stuff, making the government, the bullies, making them irrelevant.
It's called taking ownership. People have to understand that we're the owners. The government is not the owner. They're not the slave master. We are. And so you have to identify that. Once you identify that, then you take charge. You take ownership of this.
Well, this shows you, it's like this helps shatter that grand illusion of who really has the power and who doesn't. Because who are the people that are stepping up and taking care of business? People are like, well, we don't have trucks and we don't have this. Really? Occupy Sandy, which is, a faction of Occupy Wall Street, right? The Occupy Wall Street crowd. They're a bunch of young kids volunteering. And, there's probably older people helping them out too. But a lot of these kids are pretty young, and they've gotten U-Haul trucks that they're driving around, serving food out of the back. There's a picture of them feeding the FEMA Corps kids, where your tax dollars paid kids to be Barack Obama's little private mercenary, little, youth spy, Stasi SS little army, right? They're all standing around in their snazzy khakis with their little FEMA Corps jackets on, which probably cost $150 or $200 a pop, right? Their little snazzy windbreakers, and they all look alike. And guess what? Useless. All of them. Useless. Yep. Standing there doing nothing. And what's going on behind them? They're being fed by the Occupy Sandy crowd. So if that doesn't give you an idea, that's like the metaphor of this whole thing, okay?
Right on.
They're useless. We've made them irrelevant and I don't even want to say we, because one of my French, I have, the only thing I've done is talk about it on air and bring a little spotlight to it. But I don't want to try to take any credit for what's going on up there physically. I have, I wish I had the honor of helping those people out physically. You guys are amazing. Everybody up there that's helping out, every man, woman, kid, everybody that's helping out up there, you people are amazing. Truly you people have restored my faith. I not that I lost it and I was walking around like a grumpy a-hole or anything.
Yeah, you pretty much were.
Well, I'm always a grumpy a-hole, but you guys really restored my faith that, yes, I shouldn't say, maybe not restore it, but I gave it a turbo boost.
Gave you a little kick in the...
I'm always trying to be the positive one, saying, look, we'll get through this, we'll get through this, we'll get through this. And this is an example of, yes, see, I'm right, we can get through this. These people are just stepping up and taking care of business. So, I'm humbled by what I'm seeing. The efforts of just average, everyday people taking care of people, Joe, that they don't even know. People they might have never even met before, ever.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And with all that comes reward, too. Not only do you get the satisfaction of being able to make a difference in people's lives when they need it most, but, you forge new relationships. If you're a business like Carmine's, you probably see an upswing in business next summer when things are restored, because they're going to give you the business because you helped them out when they were in need. And it's just everything comes full circle. So if everybody just has that thought and understands that, when you embrace personal responsibility, you take control of your own destiny, and you don't have that control if you don't embrace it. You're putting your destiny in somebody else's hands. And do you trust that?
Well, you know what, dude? Not only being prepared is good, but also the other thing that can take, another lesson that can be taken away from this is that we're all human. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, red, purple, polka dots, wear a turban on your head or a yarmulke or, you cross-dress, whatever the case may be, we're all human. And if we all just, realize that we can put our retarded differences aside, which many of them are social constructs that created artificially to keep
everything is a social construct to keep us boxed in.
Yeah, dude.
That's really it. Think about it. I was just having this discussion real quick with my son the other day about, the legal age of 18. That is a societal standard. That is not everybody isn't carte blanche ready to be an adult at 18. Some kids are adults at 14 or 16. You know, it all comes along with their development, their ability to handle things, you know, how intelligent they are.
Some don't turn into adults either until
some never do.
Right.
No, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that these societal standards, you don't realize everything is a societal standard. And that's one thing we have to break the mold. It was only in the last 50 to 100 years that there was actually a legal age. I mean, this is a relatively new concept. You know, we once had child labor in this country. During the Great Depression, kids were working as early as 8 years old. So, I mean, this whole concept it's kind of, but everything is a societal standard.
Living in Joe's house must be fun.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm just kidding now.
We are. It's free. I'm
just kidding. No, but I know what you mean.
Easy like Sunday morning.
A lot of these social constructs were created by people that want to control society as a whole, and they do it to keep people separated. Dude, they want you to be afraid of the guy down the street so that you don't go talk to him. And I guarantee you, there's people that they've made friendships now that'll last a lifetime out of this.
Right on. Get to know your neighbor. I mean, come on. Whatever happened to being neighborly? It's time to get to know your neighbor. Don't look through the blinds and be like, oh, what's he doing today? No. No, break that down.
Let's
break
spread
that
some
barrier
love
down.
instead of hate. You know what I mean?
That's
For
right.
real. And I'm not being all hippie-ish or new age-ish or any of that.
No.
You know, I'm being straight up serious. If we would put out, a quarter of the amount of love that we put out, hate, the world would be a complete different place.
That's right. And always live by the old adage that, do unto others as they would do unto you. If you just treat people the way you'd want to be treated, I mean, come on. It's easy.
Well, all I'll say is, Hurricane Sandy, if there's only one lesson that you learned, all those multiple things, if there's only one lesson you learned, the lesson learned is...
To hell with beachfront property. I'm out of here.
Well, that too, but that the people actually have the power, and that the quote-unquote controllers have nothing. FEMA comes in, we're FEMA, we're scary, we're big, we're bad, we have this, we have that, and we are useless. The Red Cross, millions of dollars, stars hopping around on stage trying to get you to donate money, and they bring in nothing. They bring in hot chocolate. The people are the superheroes. I said it before, and I'll say it again. We are the solution to all of our problems. Joe, thanks for hanging out, brother. We are out of time.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. No fear, only love. Check out Joe's show tomorrow, and I'll catch you all Friday.